The spring sun is shining and the weather is sweet, and you join me here at Swan Valley in Yateley on an exclusive booking. Now, I've never been or seen the venue before, so we thought this would be a really good time to run through my key 5 focus areas when approaching a new venue. So top tip number 1, perfect planning and preparation, I'm sure you know the rest, is absolutely key when getting onto a new venue, and the more homework that you do, generally speaking, the quicker that your results will come. Social media is a massive part of carp angling now, and myself, I check it most days. So if you're going to approach a new venue, that's probably the first place you want to look. Scroll through the feed, look at the photos, and probably you'll see that there are similar backdrops in the swims that are producing the fish, giving you a really good angle of where to attack first of all. The next thing to do really is utilise the people that fish the venues. Now, most people nowadays are really happy to give you advice, unlike when I started carp fishing many moons ago where anglers used to put rigs in their bait buckets and not tell you anything. Now people are really open to giving you hints and tips, and I certainly along this session, I've employed that. I've asked the questions, not punished people, but gently asked little bits of advice, and it definitely pays dividends when you come onto those new venues. So top tip number 1, do your homework, plan it, utilise social media, and it will get you off to a good start. So key focus area number 2, the biggest and most important factor when going to any venue, especially a new venue, is going to be watercraft. Something that is never truly mastered. Now, when you're coming to any venue of any description, even if you know it, letting the fish show you where to fish is probably the biggest edge that you've got. So if you're going to get to a new venue, make sure you walk around, understand your surroundings. You know, if you're looking at key areas where you think the fish might hold up, using experiences from other venues like in snags, check the snags, drop a little bit of bait into them likely spots, something that you can visually come back later and check to see if the fish have been in there. Failing that, you know, look for the fish in open water. Shows and rolls are a really good indicator to where the fish might be, and that might actually show you where spots are. Big weed beds, another really key holding area for the fish. If it's warm and you can see the backs out of the water, why are those fish in those certain areas? Giving you more and more information and data to try and collate how am I going to angle for these fish better. So as I said, watercraft, we could talk about it all year. You know, it's something that effort equals reward. Make sure you're up early in the morning, make sure you're sort of staying up late, listening out, and I promise you, if you employ the skills that you can use from what you can see and you can hear, your results on new venues and existing venues will come much, much faster, and you'll be able to unlock the code much quicker. So we've got the watercraft side of it sorted, and a bit of a side note from watercraft is once you've got that area that you're going to target is what spots you fish. Now this is just a personal opinion of mine, is especially when you're new to a venue, don't over confuse yourself trying to fish in deep weed or silkweed or anything like that if it can be helped. Stick to the spots that are already out there that have probably been created by feeding fish. So those clean, hard areas are just a really good way to ease yourself into the venue without creating that carp mind fog of what bait am I using, what rigs am I using, all that confusion. Just take that element away, know you're presented, fish effectively on a cleaner spot, and then as you ease yourself into either the trip or actually into your time on the venue, then you can look to explore sort of different avenues. But at the start, keep it simple, don't over confuse yourself, stick to them clear areas, and I'm sure a fish won't be too far away. Wow, that was a surprise. change of pegs because it wasn't happening in my first choice peg. Second to last out in the draw is never ideal, but we've moved, put into action a bit of a different strategy, and yeah, really, really quick, we've got an absolute peach. Over the moon, first time to the venue as we discussed, and to get one is really good. And when they look like this, can't really be much better than that really. But we've got time, you never know, we might get some more. Well, case in point about how effective fishing those big clear areas can be. Last night, we moved pegs, of which we'll come on to mobility in a bit. We're in the swim probably no longer than an hour and a half in really tricky conditions on a tough lake, and we've had a bite really quick. So if Everett proves it, definitely fish those clear areas because they're clear, because the fish have fed on them. Now, I'm not saying to not fish the weedy bays or not fish over silkweed. All I'm saying is when you don't know the venue, you want to maintain confidence and avoid that sort of brain fog. Stick to what you know, make sure your presentation's A1, get on them big, clean, hard areas, and you can definitely get quick bites in tough conditions, as I've said. Rigs. One of obviously the key top tips to do when you're approaching a new venue. Now you kind of fall into a couple of categories depending on what you like. There's the complicated crew that like to fish all different sort of rings and loops and all stuff. Don't get me wrong, it works. And then there's the simple but sharp crew, which is where I definitely fall into. So for me, especially on new venues, my emphasis and priority will always be on the watercraft element. And what I want to do is just use the rigs that I know that work. So for me, especially on the clear spot that we're fishing out here, you've seen it before, you'll see it again. It is the ever faithful Ronnie rig. Now, the reason why I like it is because A, it's strong, you don't lose many fish on it, you can change the hook quickly, and it just does what it says on the tin it's gonna do. You know, I can focus on more around location, more around obviously the spot itself, and if there's a spot within a spot, and I know I'm gonna land them. And of course, when you start to explore the venue and you look at different spots, like for example in the edge, this might not be the one, but to avoid that sort of brain carp fog and confusion, I know it works, I've used it before, minimal losses on it, and I know when I get the bite, I'm gonna land it, and that's the most important thing. It's all about confidence. Bait, like rigs, is quite a personal choice, and we've all got our favourites. And obviously when going to a new venue, confidence is really important. So take whatever you're confident in using. But the visual in front of me really is to demonstrate that variety is the spice of life. You don't know when you're going on to a new venue what sort of bait's going to work, whether it be your traditional boilie like sail, or whether it be something different like hemp or pellet. You know, so don't limit yourself to what you've got. Bring a selection, and then depending what everyone's maybe catching on, if there's anyone else that's successful around the lakes using, you can always swap and change. And once you're dialed into the venue, of course, then you can start bringing whatever you want with you. But don't leave yourself short. Bring a variety, because you never know, there might be something that really kicks it off. Like I said, for me personally, I love nuts, although they are banned on this particular venue, so this is just for illustrative purposes. But yeah, variety, can't go wrong, and you won't be left short. We've gone through Watercraft, we've gone through obviously the homework side of what you want to do, and we've gone through the rigs and the bait. But what about if none of that's working? Well, being mobile is definitely a massive edge that some people struggle to do, whether that be through carrying too much gear or not really wanting to move. But it's massively important, and if it's not going your way in the peg, you've got to get on your toes and get moving. This venue that we're at now is an exclusive booking, and that's exactly what we've done. So I'm with a party of 10, and unfortunately, I've come out pretty late in the draw. So I picked the area that we're in now, and I did 24 hours here, and there was just not the fish here to make me want to stay. So I upped sticks, I moved, and then lo and behold, the move paid off and we managed to catch him. So there's your top tip number 4, stay mobile. If it's not happening, don't be afraid to move. And again, this carries over to any lake. If you're not on them, move, because you can't catch what's not in front of you. Well, it's not going to break any records, but it's proof in the pudding. Take from the video what you can when approaching a new venue and employ the tactics. Sprinkle in a little bit of your own sort of creative style, and hopefully the next time you visit a new venue, you can get amongst the fish and hopefully catch a PB or something really special. So the last tip to run through is not so much one for sort of immediate use, but it's definitely something that should be factored in, and it's recording everything that you find. Now, I found that when you're new to a venue, unless you're Rain Man, which you're probably not, you're not going to be able to remember everything. So if you're seeing shows at certain times, or you've gone into a swim and you've had a bit of a lead around and you find a nice spot, make sure you record absolutely everything, because you never quite know when you're going to need that information again, or you end up moving, being mobile, back in a peg over showing fish. The last thing you want to be doing is chucking leads around. So record everything, even if it's other people's bite times, what winds you see fish on. Build up as big a picture as you can, just to help you when you come back in the future. You'll have a lot more spots and a lot more options at your armoury, and again, that would definitely in the long term put more fish on the bank. But you've got to start when you start on the venue to make sure you build that portfolio out of information.